Okay, let's get into this. We are doing something a little different today, a really focused deep dive. We're looking at just one single source text.
A very, very dense one.
Exactly. It's known as Ayatul Kursi, or the verse of the throne. And our whole mission here is to take the transliterated text, these phrases, and treat them like a theological blueprint.
That's a good way to put it, because what you have here is this rapid-fire, almost breathless succession of 9 core declarations.
Yeah.
And each one defines something absolutely essential about divinity and, the relationship between the creator and all of creation. We're really dissecting the architecture here.
The goal being that you, the listener, get a really concise but also thorough grasp of its sheer scope and structure.
Right.
And of course, the blueprint starts with that foundational invocation. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful.
It sets this tone of mercy, but then the verse itself it launches straight into its core identity. There's no slow build-up.
No, it jumps right to the non-negotiable. The first declaration is the absolute pillar. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum.
There is no God but Him.
But look what it does immediately. It doesn't just leave that statement hanging. It's instantly qualified by 2 essential attributes.
Al-Hayyul.
The living. And al-Qayyum, which is, it's often translated as the self-subsistent or the sustainer.
I want to pause on that one for a second. Al-Qayyum. Sustainer makes me think of someone, keeping a machine going, actively maintaining something. But self-subsistent, that sounds much more profound, more independent. What's the real theological distinction we should be thinking about?
That distinction it's really vital. Sustainer suggests this continuous external activity, like you said. He's actively upholding the universe.
Right.
But self-subsistent, Qayyum, means he stands entirely by himself. He requires 0 external support, no dependence on the universe or on anything created for his own existence.
So he doesn't need the universe.
Not in the slightest. The universe needs him, but the reverse isn't true. It's this attribute of absolute inherent independence.
Okay, so that foundation is set. Singular, independent, and always active. And then the text just hammers that point home with a negative assertion.
It does. It moves straight to our first focus point, eliminating any possibility of a deficiency. It says, La ta'khuzuhu sinatun wala nam.
This part always gets me. It uses 2 different words for rest. Sinatun, which is like a light slumber, a drowsiness.
Yeah, the beginning of sleep.
And then nam, which is deep sleep. Why both? If you say he doesn't sleep, doesn't that cover drowsiness too?
It's a fantastic question. The specificity is everything here. By mentioning both, the text establishes continuous vigilance without any possible loophole. Drowsiness, sinatun, is the inclination toward rest. It's a fading awareness. Sleep, nam, is the full loss of it. So by negating both the initial step and the final state, the text declares that he isn't even susceptible to the need for rest.
So it's not just that he doesn't sleep. It's that the concept of getting tired doesn't even apply.
Exactly. It's a claim of eternal, non-stop activity. And that theme, that effortless continuity, it's going to come back later on.
Right, when we talk about preservation, okay.
But before that, this self-sufficiency has to be projected onto a domain. So the text immediately expands the scope to ownership.
Lahu ma fi samawati ma fil ard.
Universal ownership. Focus point 2.
Whatsoever is in the heavens and whatsoever is on the earth. It seems so comprehensive. But why is it so critical to establish this ownership right at this moment?
Because it sets a fundamental limit on everything else. If he is the independent source of existence and he owns every single component of it.
From a star down to a grain of sand.
Exactly. Then that fundamentally restricts the agency and claims of every other being. It means any power, any action, any knowledge anyone else has. It has to be derivative. It's delegated. It's never inherent.
That's the key. Derivative versus inherent power.
Yeah.
And that moves us right into the rules of engagement, section 2, starting with agency.
Yes. Focus point 3. Who, if anyone, can mediate or have influence here? And the text is incredibly strict.
Man zalazi yashfau indahu ila bezni.
And there it is, the rule of intercession. Who is it that can intercede with him except by his permission?
So it's not a complete ban on intercession.
No, but it's a complete ban on unauthorized intercession. You see how the ownership point sets this up perfectly? Since he owns everything, agency isn't something you're just born with.
It's granted.
It is entirely delegated. It maintains this absolute, uncompromised hierarchy of authority.
So once authority and the domain are crystal clear, the text pivots to knowledge, which in a system like this has to be just as total.
It has to be. And this next part, focus point 4, is maybe one of the most comprehensive claims of omniscience you'll find anywhere.
يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ زِيدِهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم.
He knows what is before them and what is behind them.
So past and future.
It's more than that, really. In the theological context, ma baina zidihim, what is facing them is their present and all their future experiences, everything they are moving toward.
Okay? And ma khalfahum, what is behind them, that's their entire history. Every single cause and effect that led them to this exact moment.
So it's total omniscience, but defined temporally. The scale of that is. It's just staggering to know every single causal chain for every being across all of time.
And to know it without effort, it all connects back to that continuous vigilance we started with.
But then there's a contrast, isn't there, between this boundless divine knowledge and, well, our knowledge.
A very sharp contrast.
Right.
And that brings us to section 3. And the boundaries of our understanding.
The necessary limits.
Exactly. Focus point 5 gives us that barrier between creator and created. It says, وَلَا يُتُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ.
Let's break that down. They do not encompass anything of his knowledge.
The word encompass is key. They don't grasp it completely, fundamentally.
Except for what he wills.
This is a huge statement about epistemology, about how we know things. It says that all human knowledge, everything we discover, is only what is permissible to be known. You think about modern science, big data, AI, trying to create predictive models for everything.
Right. We're constantly striving for total knowledge. But this text asserts that our understanding is ultimately tethered to divine will. We can see patterns in the data, but we don't have access to the source code, so to speak.
The foundational operating system of the cosmos.
Exactly.
So after defining that knowledge barrier, the text it explodes in scale. It moves to this majestic central image of the verse, the Kursi.
Focus point 6. Wasya kursiyuhu samawati wal arda.
His Kursi extends over the heavens and the earth.
What's so fascinating is the scale, but also the ambiguity of the word kursi. Is it the throne? Is it a footstool? The debate itself sort of amplifies the power of the image.
It really does. Because if you take it as the ultimate throne, it means the seat of power literally covers the entire known cosmos. But if you go with the footstool interpretation, the implications are even more mind-boggling.
Exactly. Because if this immeasurable domain that contains all the heavens and the earth is merely the footstool, just the place where the feet rest,
then what is the scale of the actual throne?
It implies that the true seat of majesty is something far greater, something entirely beyond our physical reality. It's a concept designed to dwarf the known universe.
It gives a physical, cosmic volume to the sovereignty that was established earlier. But a scale that vast brings up a pretty obvious question.
How do you maintain it?
Right. How do you maintain all of that without ever getting tired?
And that brings us full circle back to that idea of effortlessness. Section 4, focus point 7 directly addresses the effort involved. Wala ya'uduhu hifsuhuma.
And he's not wearied by preserving them both. Them both being the heavens and the earth.
Yes. And that negation of weariness, of strain, it's intrinsically linked to the negation of slumber and sleep from the very beginning.
It's the same concept, just applied differently.
It's the final piece of the argument for dependency. If the sustainer had to expend effort or take a break.
It would undermine the whole idea of qayyum, of self-sufficiency.
It would. This phrase asserts that the preservation of the entire cosmos is effortless. The power is infinite, so it requires no expenditure, no fatigue.
It's just an ultimate statement of perpetual power. And with that, the text delivers its conclusion. It summarizes everything with 2 final names.
The capstone, points 8 and 9. Huwal Aliyul Azim.
And what do these 2 final epithets encapsulate?
They synthesize everything we've just discussed. Al-Ali, the Most High, a transcendence above all creation in status and, physically.
And Al-Azim.
The Most Great, a greatness that encompasses the majesty of the Kursi, the totality of knowledge, and the absolute lack of weariness. It's a final, dramatic, unifying statement.
That's remarkable. We've just walked through 9 dense clauses and seen how they build this highly structured argument, from identity to dominion to knowledge to scale, and finally to effortless preservation.
You see how a single, short source can articulate an entire theological framework. It's all there. Absolute power, eternal vigilance, total knowledge. A cosmic scale where our entire universe is just a part.
It really forces you to appreciate how every single word, every phrase is contributing to this cohesive, overwhelming whole.
And the themes just link up so tightly. The independence of not needing rest is mirrored by the independence of not needing effort.
The whole universe is maintained with less effort than it takes for us to blink.
That's a powerful way to think about it.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to take away from all this. And it stems directly from that idea that our knowledge is limited to what he wills. We live in this age of big data and AI, where we believe we can build models to predict, well, almost anything. Planetary systems, human behavior. But if human intellectual pursuit is inherently bounded by this divine will, what are the natural ultimate limits we have to accept? Are we just fooling ourselves about our ability to truly predict the future or even to fully comprehend the foundational laws of the universe?
Does this source imply a permanent scientific frontier, one that our intellect, by its very nature, can never cross?
Something to think about.
A definite challenge to our modern assumptions.
Until next time.